Hey everybody, Jake here. Real quick, I apologize for any background noise you might hear. New neighbor moving in upstairs. Anyway, I'm wanting to start a kind of like a little spin-off series of just quick, few minute long videos, basically rants. And the first one is going to be plastic in pens versus metal in pens, and how people equate quality to material. Now, don't get me wrong, material can impact quality to a good degree. Inherently, metal pens are going to be more durable. Plastic pens, in varying opinions, can be more beautiful, especially when you get into acrylics and celluloids, ebonite, stuff like that. Which ebonite's technically a hard rubber, but you know what I mean. Metal pens can vary in price and build quality depending on what types of metals. You have brass and aluminum, which are cheaper. And then you can get up into bronze and copper, which is a little bit more expensive. Steel and titanium. Titanium, especially, is very hard to work with. It's going to be very expensive. And then on the very, very high end, you have things like, Damas steel, which is basically a Damascus steel. You can get really expensive pens made out of that, or pen accents, things like that. But in general, a lot of people are going to say metal pens are better. Now, I disagree with this because there are very high end plastic materials that rival, if not beat, some metal pens. For example, both these pens are a couple of dollars. These are both Jinhaos. This is the X750. This is the 992, I think. I don't know. I have a review on this one as well. This pen is just injection molded plastic that basically they pay for a mold and then inject plastic into it in sheets, and they get these pens, and you'll have seams on them and things like that. It's where you can see they were injection molded. But they're generally low end budget plastics. They crack easy, things like that. This here is a lacquer coated brass. Brass is commonly used because it's really cheap for some pens. And you can see, even though this is a metal pen, the build quality of it isn't fantastic. It's really good for a super cheap pen, but the brass is kind of cheap. The machining on the threads is kind of cheap. Just things like that. Generally, if you buy a low-cost metal pen, it's going to show to be a lot more cheap than a low-cost plastic pen. Let's go ahead and step up the price range a little bit. Move up to some gold nibs. So with the Platinum 3776 and the Pilot Vanishing Point, I would probably have the Lamy 2000 here, but I don't have it with me at the moment. This plastic is also injection molded, but it's a much higher quality. They've worked a lot harder on this plastic, and it shows. It's wonderful, wonderful plastic here. Same thing with this metal. I believe this is also brass, possibly. I'm not 100% on these. They just say coated metal. But the finishing on these is a whole lot nicer. Now, these pens in America retail for close to the same price range. This one is a whole lot better quality, but I also got this one significantly cheaper in Japan. I believe the American versions have much better fit and finish. So realistically, it's preference. Plastic pens are going to be lighter, metal pens are going to be heavier. Metal pens are going to be more durable, plastics are going to crack easier. But also in the plastic side, you have beautiful things like celluloid, acrylic. I actually have a Noodler's Conrad acrylic review. You can see what I mean. Those aren't injection molded. Those are made out of something called rod stock. It's basically a long rod, and they machine out the shape and a hole through the middle and things like that to get the desired shape that they want. Those pens are going to cost you more because they are not injection molded in sheets. Those pens can run hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the material, how hard it is to work with, things like that. Metal pens, you can get them machined out of solid blocks of metal. Those are going to cost a lot. Kara's Customs is a company that does that. They make very nice stuff. They also make an acrylic pen, and it costs a lot more than their metal pens. Because when you get into acrylics and things like that, it's harder to work with, and you have to machine it out. It's a much longer process than injection molding. So there's pros and cons to each. So just think about that instead of assuming metal pens are better. It really comes down to preference. You have weight and durability, These are lighter and less durable. For long writing sessions, it's probably going to be more comfortable for this. Short note taking, you keep it in your pocket and run around all day in a body shop or something like that, get a metal pen. Or be like me and get both. It doesn't really matter. Alright, thanks for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Keep an eye out for some more rants and upcoming videos. Thanks.